Hey, all right. You're listening to the Dead Man's Tone podcast, a show that is sponsored in part by Giddy. Guys, are you having a hard time staying hard and don't want a 3-hour Viagra erection? Well, then you need Giddy. And I know what you're thinking. Giddy is just a cock ring, right? That's all it is. No. This isn't just some ordinary cock ring. Giddy is developed in a secret lab, okay? Top secret facility.
Wow.
By mathematicians, engineers, urologists, like a top secret team. Okay, so if you want this stuff, go to getmegiddy.com, okay? Order yourself this is gonna be great. Keep you hard, keep the lady satisfied, right? Just go there, use the promo code Stay Hard, Dead Hard, and yeah. Good luck with that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mr. Deadman here, your host, and Tammy G's with us tonight. SK, unfortunately, I should have a shot of whiskey on his behalf right now.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for him, man. But we have Brad Gosse on the show. Brad Gosse, how's it going, man?
Brad Gosse is right here.
Gosse. God damn
God,
it.
we just talked about
Gosse.
this. What's wrong with you?
Well, it's almost like I ruin every guest name. It's
You're
like,
fucking fired.
I can't be fired on my own show.
Oh, but I can do that.
You're gonna kill the dead man? Is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna kill the dead man?
You're already dead anyway.
Yeah, just brush me aside.
You definitely warranted a meeting with HR.
Yeah.
Right? He's in big trouble. Don't worry.
Okay. All right, so Brad Gosse. Did I say that right this time?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
You did it.
I'm tripping it.
It's one syllable.
I know, right? Baby steps. Okay.
How could you mess it up so bad?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, it's all right.
All right. Well, before I get started about who you are and what you do, first, one more plug, and this one's serious. Ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't become a patron yet, you got to. When you're a patron, you get access to bonus shows where you get to see me eat bull balls. I've done that. You get to see my wife kick my ass in a video game. You get to see me eat disgusting vomit-flavored jelly beans and play all sorts of crazy games of SK, Tammy G, and shit like that. Oh, man. So just become a patron, patreon.com/deadmanstone. And there you go. You get access to the bonus shows. All right. With that all the way, Brad, let's get into this. Who are you and what do you do?
I'm a 46-year-old guy who's motivated by his own laziness. And I have a company called Vector Toons. We have 4 million cartoons available for license as clip art for graphic designers, that type of thing. And I'm an amateur comedian.
Oh, sweet. Okay. Man, that's...
So what got you into all of that?
I fell into everything.
Like, happened.
So, I think I've always been, I've always been into being funny. My family, has a good sense of humor, and I've always been drawn to people with a good sense of humor. And, in one of my businesses, I started to do a lot of conference talks, where I would get up and talk about stuff in front of a crowd. And I thought I should look better at being funny. So I took some Second City comedy training and then once I did that, I started to do open mics to hone the comedy side of what I was doing. And then I liked that so much, I just wanted to do it more.
Oh, wow. But you said you were motivated by your own laziness. How does that work?
Yeah. Well, it's a constant conflict. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It's like you don't really want to do that much. I don't believe in hard work. I believe in smart work. I believe in doing the minimum amount of effort to get the maximum return, and then taking the rest of the time off. So I mean, I joked today about only having to work 15 minutes, although I guess technically a podcast is also work, but it doesn't feel like it. So
right.
But it's purely because I'm lazy, and I'm driven to keep that dream alive.
Oh, wait.
That works.
You're able to just do the minimum amount of work. You're able to be lazy and actually make a buck, make a living.
Yeah, I do okay.
Can you teach me how?
Yeah.
Maybe.
You
don't have
give
like
a lesson here?
You don't have like a book on this or something, do you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I have a book on it. It's called The Chronic Marketer.
No way.
It's yeah. I'm
gonna buy that right now. I'm on Amazon.
I wrote it in 2012, and it's still relevant. And I mean, you know, I've definitely improved upon it since then. But I mean, you know, I've always been good at hiring good people to do the work and pay them well. And I'm a better delegator than a doer.
Are you hiring?
No, I'm not.
Damn.
Okay, wait. So we do get quite a bit of listeners that are creative minds, right? Most of them are writers, and because writers, they always have books, short stories. How do I get known? How do we get out there? But before they listen to anything you're going to say, they want to know, are you legit? The stuff you're about to say here tonight on the show, the advice you're going to give, one, does it work for you? Do you follow it?
You're asking?
Yeah, I'm just asking.
You're asking.
Yeah.
You're asking the rat to guard the cheese. You're asking me.
Yeah.
If I'm legit, and I'm going to tell you I'm legit, and that's going to verify that I'm legit.
Well, if it works for you.
That's the bar. Ask the guy who's about to lie if he's lying, and if he tells us he's not lying, then we're good.
Well, is it? Are you lying? Are you lying?
Are you being honest, Brad?
Are you being honest? Yeah.
That's like the weirdest question to ask somebody.
Right?
Are you being on? Are you being honest? Oh, yes. Oh, okay, great. We're cool then.
Well,
the question is totally flawed.
Yeah. Well, I think the main thing would be like, oh, so the advice you give out tonight, does it work for you, and how you know, does it make your living work and all that shit.
It works for me. I don't know if it works for anybody else. Well, I'll disclaim with that. I mean, I definitely don't have any blanket. I mean, I have advice maybe, but I don't know that it works for everybody. It works for me.
Well, there you go. It works for you because you know how to make.
You can Google me to see the level of legitimacy. I mean, I guess, you know, that's probably the best thing to tell people. If they want to make sure they're happy listening to me, they can always just Google Brad.
And I'll say, we don't get a lot of trolls here, a lot of naysayers or anything, but for those that, just Google his name. Just Google his name, man. Google me. Yeah. All right.
I mean, that's what we all do nowadays anyway, right?
Right. So why do I
don't
have to tell you I'm legit. Yeah. Do your research.
Right.
See, he delegates everything.
Exactly.
And that's what works for him.
Tammy gets it.
I totally do.
He's working with his laziness now.
Maybe I do have a job.
But see, I have a hard time delegating because, like, I always want to do it myself and make sure that it's done right. So we're kind of opposite here, but that's okay.
It's easier to make sure it's done right when someone else does it.
Is it?
But I like it done my way.
Don't you just want to show up and taste the sauce and be like, yeah, it's too salty?
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. Man, I always want to do stuff on my own, kind of like what Tammy said, because I want to make sure it's done right. I've got to make sure that, because other people are just going to fuck it up, I feel.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. But then you have to have faith in other people too. Like, people are hard workers, and
I could fuck it up just as easily as somebody else could fuck it up.
That's true. I don't tend to fuck things up though, so you know, we're good there.
Well, you fuck some things up, but that's a different story.
That's a totally different topic.
Okay. So, look, a lot of our listeners are writers. Do you have any sort of marketing advice that you would have for them?
Yeah. It depends on what kind of writing that they do, but I mean, you know, if they're not self-publishing, they should be. You know, if you're a writer for hire and you're not filling every minute that isn't, you know, being paid for by writing your own self-published work, you know, you're wasting your talent. Mm-hmm. And I wouldn't call myself a writer. But if that's how I identified myself, I would make sure that I was putting my name on a lot of stuff and putting it out. And, testing the waters, what works, what doesn't. It costs nothing to self-publish today. So there's no excuse. There's no reason why you don't have, a half dozen books on Amazon right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be my any writer that asks me for advice, that's the first thing I tell them is you should be publishing your own stuff.
So publish your own stuff and just constantly. Now, this sounds like work though, but you do have to create your own work. You have to write the stories and all that stuff.
Well, do as I say, not as I do. That's what this comes down to.
Yeah, I could come up with a team of people who write stuff for me. That'd be great.
You can do that.
Just put my name on it.
There's no. That's the thing, right? There's no shortage of writers for hire. So if that's a good percentage of your audience, I would imagine. I don't know what kind of writers they are. Are they fiction writers? Are they? Who are we talking to?
Yeah, a lot of the people that listen are fiction writers, specifically horror. And that's a niche, it's hard to, sometimes it's like you have to do little tricks almost to get your book out there, to get a notice, because there's a lot of different authors trying to have their voice be heard and all that, and so you're kind of competing with them in a way. So it's like, okay, how do I make my work stand out? How does this person make their work stand out? Do you have any
do something crazy?
Do something crazy.
Do something crazy.
Right.
Do something nobody's done, and don't be afraid to utilize graphics and video and other things to promote it. For me, it would be about creating something nobody's ever created and doing it in a way that was, and that might require throwing, 10 pieces of shit at the wall to find the one that sticks, or 20 pieces of shit at the wall.
Okay.
But, so I don't know what the answer is, but, it's no different than the creation of a villain or a superhero. You need to create something that's so cool. I saw the Joker movie not long ago, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's not horror, but to create a character like that can be inserted into multiple storylines, multiple universes, and then own that and build on that. Everything you build around that becomes, a larger part of it. But then there might be some other component that you have to do to make that go viral. You might have to create a Slender Man type of a character that and some urban legend around it, and some, you have to kind of think about how to make something share worthy.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and I like what you said earlier. Use video. Use other ways to put your work out there, to let it be known. I try to tell other people this as well. It's like, the reason why I'm using this podcast on YouTube and Spreaker and iTunes or whatever is to help have other ways to put content out there so that it'll reach a different audience. Maybe they don't read books, but maybe they like what they hear and what, maybe I will read the book, or maybe I'll transform the content from, let's say, a book, but to audio. Just tell the story, narrate it. Okay.
And the other thing is find your audience, right? If you have to know who your audience is. So whoever's buying horror fiction novels, you have to fine tune, create a customer avatar. Who is that person? Are we talking about a female in her early 20s? Are we talking about a male? Who is that demographic? And then find out all the other shit that they like, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe they're all cosplayers, or maybe they're all, maybe a big percentage of them have this crossover where they like, some weird obscure thing that you didn't think of, and then you go and find the social media, heavyweights that tap that audience, the same audience, and even if you have to throw some money at it, pay them to read, passages from your book on their Instagram or whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a good idea. Okay. Do you have any sort of advice about social media presence, social media marketing?
Just shit out content. Gary Vee says it best, right? He talks about that all the time, where there's no reason why you're not putting out 5 to 10 pieces of content a day. I got on TikTok a couple of months ago. 2 months ago, I started my TikTok account, and I'm 46 years old, so I'm definitely way above the demo, right? But I started doing comedy on TikTok, and I've, in 2 months, I've put up 212 videos.
Yeah.
And, the first 30 to 40 did almost nothing. So a lot of people would have been like, oh, I put up 5 videos, I gave up. That didn't work. And then it was like video number 40 something that got 1 million views. And then video number 100 and something got 1 million views. And then video number, it's like, you just have to keep testing until you find the thing that gets everybody excited.
Okay. Wait, but aren't I too much of a boomer to be using TikTok? I mean,
yeah.
I'm on TikTok too. Shut up.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, I am.
That's what they're going to call you. That's what they called me.
I already
it
had
was this
someone
weird
call
thing. It
me
was
a
like,
boomer.
oh my God, I got OK Boomer for the first 30 to 40 videos. And I actually made a bunch of OK Boomer videos where I was like, every time someone says OK Boomer, I'm going to turn my thermostat up another degree. Enjoy it, bitches. And it was like, like I'm going to kill you kids with my global warming. And, and it just like it escalated, and then at some point, I found the way to break the audience, and then it was the weirdest thing. It went from like every comment was OK Boomer, and then someone literally commented, "This boomer passed the vibe check," and then all of a sudden it was like everybody was just into my content. It was weird.
Nice. I'm still trying to make it on TikTok. It's just not working for me.
You have to get into your underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hold on.
That's basically what happens. That's how TikTok works.
If Brad,
I did a video showing a lot of cleavage, and TikTok took that shit down.
That's the problem. There's a line.
There's a
fine line between. Yeah, there's a fine line.
There was no nips. I mean, come on. There's young little girls doing way worse than that, and they keep.
I know.
But
I know.
That's all right.
Well,
I think probably like maybe 15 to 20% of the TikTok audience is pedophiles.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Bunch of creepers on there.
Yeah.
Okay, so find out how to market to them. What?
Yeah, you have to find the. So the advice I have here is you have to find the pedophile influencers on the social media, and you have to get them to read your book, other pedophiles, so they buy your book.
Hey,
yeah, but I don't look young enough. That's the problem.
Hold on. The other thing is, Tammy, you have to get TikTok working for you. If Brad can get it work for him, no offense, but he's a man. I mean, you should have no problem, right?
My cutesy stuff did nothing for me. I started posting some paranormal stuff, and that stuff kind of went off. But other than that, no.
Did he give up?
I'll help
no,
you
I'm just not young and cute enough.
Sounds like you gave up.
No, I don't. I still post. It's just I don't know. I'm over it.
Doing better than me. I don't even have an account. But okay.
I'm gonna do some like pigtails and stuff. And, maybe that'll work for me.
Oh shit! You can wear a shirt that says "Daddy's little girl" on there too. What the fuck?
Yes.
Oh
I
my
have
god!
One too. I'll do that for
sure. Winner chicken dinner.
It's gonna be hot shit. You just wait.
Anything to sell a book. Anything to sell something. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now earlier you mentioned self-publishing. Okay, I have to ask you. I know you're not a writer, but do you have any views or perspective or opinion on self-publishing versus traditional publishing? Yeah,
I have a lot see.
Sweet.
I have more views than I could count on that.
Cool.
I've always self-published. I am actively, looking to seek a publisher for. I have 100 children, adult children's books that I'm putting out, and so I'm looking for a publisher for that. But I've done my first book was self-published, and my second and third book were self-published. And the next 100 that I have, I've already written. They're 10-page books. When I say 100, these are not full length, multi-100-page books. They're 10 to 12-page children's books. But I have 100 of them titles done, and then I have probably 30 of them written. So I may self-publish, but I'm hoping that I can get a publisher just based on the how much it's blown up on TikTok. So, but for me, it really comes down to control and having the ability to do things the way I want and not have to beg anybody for anything. And I think there's a point where every self-publisher who's good can find a publisher that could find multiple publishers to fight over them. And I think you're better off self-publishing if you don't have any connections, you don't have a literary agent. Like, why would you wait to put out a book for someone to say, okay, here's an advance? Just do it.
There's so many examples now of that actually being the case. I mean, I could think of a few self-published authors and self-published books that actually landed big publishing deals where they got movies and everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
50 Shades of Grey.
50 Shades of Grey, the Martian. Shit. Well, there's others. I have a whole list. I just need to find that list. Damn it. But
no, but I know what you're saying, and it is a huge audience of people that are willing to buy self-published books. They don't know. They see it on Amazon. They don't know that you did it yourself. If you do a good enough job, they don't know.
Right. And I say this as a publisher. I say this as sometimes I've realized that, in a way, a publisher is kind of like just that middleman that takes some of your money. If you could do it yourself, you keep more of your money. But it's like, okay, well,
most publishers won't give you a marketing budget. They're not going to put any PR into the book or any effort into the book beyond getting it on shelves, in a handful of stores until it takes off. So, I mean, there's, if you have a publisher, then use one. But if you don't have access to one and they're not returning your phone calls, then there's no excuse for you to not publish that book yourself.
Right.
Like
right.
I helped my 9-year-old stepdaughters when they were 9 self-publish their own books. They're 10 now, and like they wrote their own stories and self-published them on Amazon and raised some money for an animal shelter. And they've gone through the process and they've done it. There's if you have a book in you or you've done the book and you're waiting around, every day that goes by, you've lost a few people who could have bought that book.
That's true. You're just waiting around. I mean, you do have to do some work. You have the book. It's written. Just publish it.
So I have a question as far as like marketing and PR. Like, do you need to go to school for that type of career to be successful, or can you get into that without college?
I dropped out of 10th grade, so.
Oh shit!
I think you can. I think you can do anything. I mean, look, I think there's no need for a college education in marketing because
it's forever changing, right? I mean, when you're going to learn certain things in school, and once you're done with that, it's going to be different. I mean, that's what I've realized.
I think you're right, and I think there's also there's a psychology that's underlying that never. But I think all of that can be learned on YouTube and through listening to good podcasts and masterclass and whatever. I mean, you don't have to spend $100,000 and go into debt to learn how to do something that you're still going to have trouble finding a job when you get out of school.
Right.
You just do the work.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Hell,
marketing is testing, right? It's like you have to. I mean, that's the thing. I think people always kind of miss is that it's not about hitting a home run every time. It's about, especially online. Like there was a time when a company would pay a big ad agency, like Apple would go to Chiat Day and say, okay, here's $50 million to launch our new computer, and they would come out with some cool marketing campaign. But for most people who were small business owners, one person or mom and pop type of a business, there's no, I don't know. I feel like there's so much you could do yourself by just trying 10 things, right? Rather than trying to come up with that one winner campaign or putting out one ad and then saying it didn't work. Try 10 or 20 ads and find the one that works.
Oh, you mean actually try different things? Oh man,
who would have thought?
Because that is a common complaint I hear. It's like, oh, but I tried an ad once on Facebook and didn't work, so I'm not gonna do it again. But I'm like, it's not gonna be instant success. It's kind of like It's gambling in a way, because like, so you put this idea out there, you try to play around with these, I guess, hashtags or keywords, or with Facebook with a certain, what do they call it, the demographics, the categories you can aim at, whatever. Okay, well, if it didn't work, maybe it was a problem with the ad, maybe it was a problem with the description or whatever. Maybe the copy.
There's so many variables. There's, like you said, there's graphics, there's copy, there's the audience. You know, selecting the wrong audience is usually the biggest problem.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, and then even saying, okay, well, you know, like saying something like, well, you know, my product is, it caters to vegans. Well, what kind of fucking vegan are we talking about? Because they fight within each other. So you got to okay, is it a junk food vegan? Is it a raw health food vegan? Is it a keto vegan? You know, what kind of vegan are we talking about? Because they're all going to argue. So you better pick the one that you want. You can't just say vegan. You can't just say, you know, people who like country and Western music. You can't just say people who like horror movies.
Right.
Like, you got to no, I need people who like M. Night Shyamalan. I need people who like, you know, this particular movie, this particular thing, or these 5 things. They have to be all 5.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where people fail. They're like, oh no, my ad targets everybody. I'm just going to target everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't really work.
So how many times does it take? Like, is there like a ballpark number? Like, how many ads does it take for you to finally, I guess, get success? Like, sell a few copies of your book, or get more hits on a podcast, get more hits. I'm not asking for me. I'm just, I'm asking in general, but you know what I'm saying.
You're asking.
Well, I get who you're asking for. It's all good. We're here to help.
I promise I'll read your book. I promise.
There's no right answer. That's the thing, right? It's like, I think it's based on your experience. The better you are at it, the more you've done it, the less tries it's going to take you. Mm-hmm. But it's still going to take tries. Right. It's still gonna be, you know, a process, and you have to be willing to fail and be totally cool with it, even though you thought this was the winner. This ad looked so good, you know, everybody I showed it to said it was awesome, and then nobody clicked on it. Okay, well, throw it out, try something else. And you know, so I don't that number could be 3 tries, or it could be 300 tries.
Now, what about this trend of like outrage, using outrage to help, I guess, market or sell something?
Outrage porn?
Outrage porn, kind of, sort of. Outrage porn, like, you know what I'm talking about, like a sensational headline that means nothing, or like like an ad that's triggering on purpose to be triggering, like, you know, coming out there saying, like, shaming men, like how Gillette shamed men during that one commercial, or how Burger King came out with that. What was it?
Can we talk about Gillette?
Yeah, we can talk about
Gillette for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay. So they put out that ad campaign, right? Oh, look at us, we're against toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Right. Have you seen how much more they charge for pink razors?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Where do they charge more?
So it's like, oh, you know, we're against toxic masculinity, but we charge the ladies a little extra for their razors.
Yeah. They'll pay for it too.
You know, no, I think trying to piggyback on something like that doesn't make sense for someone who isn't Gillette. I think it works for a company that can throw $20 million at an ad campaign. I don't think it works for everybody else. I think cashing in on outrage makes sense, especially if you're in the horror genre. Creating outrage around your storyline makes a ton of sense. Finding the real world crimes that mirror your stories and drawing lines between those things makes a ton of sense. Finding, you know, the triggers that are going to get people upset over what you're writing about can only help you, because if people are sharing something in outrage, there's always going to be a percentage of their friends that are like, oh, that looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And I will say that's one thing I've actually tried to do, and it does seem to be kind of working. I mean, mean, I have to do it more. I see kind of some signs that they get more likes, more retweets, but it's something I just constantly have to work on. But it sounds like work. I want to achieve your level, Brad. Had to be lazy, to use my laziness and have it work for me. How, like, Tammy, am I missing something? Like, how do we get that? How do we get there?
I don't know. There's not enough me, I guess. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Hire people to create the ads for you.
Oh.
Yeah.
Outsource it. That's
outsource it to China or India or something.
No.
Damn it. Okay, I'll have to find someone.
It doesn't have to be a foreign country.
Oh. Okay, I'll just pay someone $5, see if they make an ad for me. Something like that, right?
Good luck with that. No, I think, but like, if you think about it, with what you do, I mean, if you publish horror content, you publish horror novels or movies or whatever that might be, I think finding the ties to the news headlines. Like if you this is not a good example, but it's the first one that came to mind, so I'm using it. But if you watch a show like Law and Order, which I mean, there's like 1 billion episodes of that show. But if you look, some of the best performing episodes are the ones where they actually say in the promos, ripped from the headlines, this episode of Law and Order, and it's like the crime that happened in that show is it mirrors one that happened in the real world not long before.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And so finding those ties, right, where you can take a sensational news story and tying it into your work makes a ton of sense.
Oh, of course. Especially when we're talking about crime. In the podcast world, true crime podcasts are still like the number one thing. Or at least
anything like based off a true story or whatever is going to draw a lot more people in.
Yeah. Absolutely. So if you can create if you're in that genre and you're writing horror, fiction, find a way to base your character off of somebody who's notorious.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a good idea. Now, what about SEO? Any advice on like SEO tricks, tips, optimization, things like that?
Really, these days there's no tricks. It's I mean, everything that there is to know about SEO is published by Google on their webmaster page, and there's not a lot of like, oh, you gotta use this thing or use that thing. But I think at the end of the day, having a lot of content is the key to SEO. My strategy has always been, I have 4 million images in my company's catalog, which means we have 400 pages listed in Google, or 4 million pages listed in Google. And so having a lot of content makes a ton of sense. And whatever genre you're in, I mean, you mentioned horror writers, so that's where I keep going back to. I would be writing a short story every day and blogging it and putting it on medium.com and BuzzFeed and whatever, publishing it to multiple platforms. You can publish on all of these sites, Board Panda, BuzzFeed, Medium, for free. So I would be publishing short stories that tie people back to my books, short stories with my characters in them to get people to fall in love with my content. And all of that stuff linking back to my catalog on Amazon or my own website where I sell my books, or however I do that, I think makes a lot of sense. And then to go back to the idea of like having people read passages and making those into videos, and you putting those up on YouTube. Google owns YouTube. They love people who publish stuff on YouTube, and if all that YouTube content links back to your website, that's really good for SEO. Like people talk about building links and all that kind of stuff. I don't do any of that. My strategy has always been publish a lot of content to a lot of different places. Make sure everything you put up on your website goes on, Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and all these other places, YouTube, and find ways to repurpose your content. If you've got fiction books, there's no reason why you don't pay a professional voiceover artist to make it into an audiobook, or do it yourself. It costs I mean, my first book, I went into the studio myself. I paid for the studio time. I paid the engineer to edit the audiobook. And it only cost me like $500 to read my book in a soundproof booth with real professional equipment and have someone edit it for me. And, you know, I mean, so I think there's so many places you can repurpose the work you've already done and turn it into, you know, like it's this weird thing, but like you could give away so much of your book and people will still buy it.
Speaking of books, let's talk about why Daddy drinks so much real fast. Before transition, Tammy, do you have any other questions related to marketing and SEO and how to achieve more being lazy?
No.
Okay.
That was all good information.
All right. And chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask, okay? We're going faster here, okay?
Did you call me Chad?
No. I said chat. No. Oh, no.
You're no longer Brad, okay? You're Chad.
I'm Chad Gosse.
That's it.
All right, so why does Dad drink so much? This is something I want to know about my dad. No.
Because you won't pick up your toys.
Oh shit! God damn it! So he stepped on a Lego one time.
What toys are we talking about? No, sorry. Go ahead.
Tammy.
That's how old you are. Depends on your relationship with your father.
The daddy issues.
That doesn't work.
The daddy issue sure is really coming into perspective here. Okay.
Never mind. Sorry.
I don't know if you know what the book is, but it's 100 children's books that were rejected. And so each page is a full color cover of a children's book that it was a joke, a children's book that my publisher rejected. And there are all these terrible titles like Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe and, you know, Why Daddy Hits Mommy and, you know, My Racist Gran and, you know, these like, you know, these horrible book titles with full color covers. And I'll tell you how it happened. It happened as one of my marketing tests. I was doing ads for Vector Tunes, my clip art company, and I did a series of images called children's books that never made it, and they were just covers that I made, you know, on my Mac with my clip art. And I mean, they take me 10 minutes to make, and I made 5 or 6 of them, and the ads did really well.
I can see why. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I could tie this back to my comedy. So I started, you know, doing more of them, and they started to do really well. So I published this book. I did 100 of them. So I published this book of 100 covers. And that's how I took off on TikTok, was I started to show the covers. I would say, my name's Brad Gosse, and I write children's books, but my publisher always rejects them. Mm-hmm. What do you think of this? And then I'd show them, you know, Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe, you know, setting boundaries with adults, whatever, you know. And
oh my God, I love it.
But Joe was so nice.
People would be like, "Oh my God, the punchlines to these videos are crazy." And then, you know, the key is to always pay attention to the audience. So the comments, you know, quickly went from "Okay, Boomer" to "Will you please read these books to us?" And then I'm like, "Oh, I got to write these books."
Right.
You know, they want me to write books. And so I started writing these like Dr. Seuss style children's stories about Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe or Why Daddy Hits Mommy or whatever. And those are the videos that took off on TikTok. So the book is the 100 covers of all the books that never made it. And from that now is basically spawning out 100 individual Dr. Seuss style children's books for adults.
Oh, sweet.
That's awesome.
So why can't Mommy afford the car payments?
Because Daddy doesn't pay the support.
Oh, shit. Wait, which dad? All the dads? One dad?
Like, you know, like another title is Rich Kids, 9 Reasons They're Better Than You. Or Playground Boss, Controlling Kids with Extortion and Fear.
Oh, God. Rich kids always had the better magic cards. Not to...
So you have the measles. The good news is you don't have autism.
Oh my God.
Oh, that's good. Which one's the worst? Which one's the worst?
The worst one is I think the worst one is Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe. But there's the most popular one on TikTok that I read. So Don't Bathe with Uncle Joe was the most popular cover, but the most popular book I read was Why Daddy Hits Mommy.
Okay.
So I also did one recently on white privilege.
Oh.
I have one called Creepy Guy at the Pool: How to Deal with Strangers Who Watch You Swim. How to when mom drunk dials, how to behave when strangers come over. I have a rich mom, poor mom, a kid's guide to payday loans.
Oh.
That's good.
Grandpa's dead. Good news, you can have your room back. Don't kiss that hobo. A children's guide to avoiding tuberculosis.
Oh my god!
Shit.
I cannot.
Oh fuck.
Anyway,
that's
awesome.
good. That's good stuff. And these are actually turning into full-fledged stories.
Yeah. But
All
Why
right.
Daddy Hits Mommy has blown. Why Daddy Hits Mommy, the story has blown up on TikTok. It's got 1.4 million views, and it's
I'm gonna
still
have to
going
go check
viral.
out your TikTok.
Yeah, right. I need to as well. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So you
Just look up Chad Gosse on TikTok.
yeah, Chad Gosse.
God, yes, Chad.
So you put out there these comedic covers, which are gold, and you build up a following or demand for it, and then it's like, okay, now they want the stories, so just you write the stories. You got it. You got your market. Damn, that's smart.
Yeah. They're asking if they want the books. Now they've read, and it's funny, I've given it away. I've read the whole thing, and then they're like, how can I buy this book? And then I tell them to go and buy the book of the covers, and they're like, that's not good enough. I want Why Daddy Hits Mommy. I want a 12-page illustrated Dr. Seuss style book about spousal abuse.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. I'll make it.
Now, are you
sure? Are you
writing it? Are you
pictures? Well, I've already written it. I read it on TikTok. I've already.
That's right.
It's not really a book. It's a poem. Children's books aren't books. They're poems.
Yeah, they're
it's
poems.
like writing a song. Right?
They're really
it's
easy to write.
Yeah, and it all rhymes. It's like, it's basic, but it's like it'll be a 10 to 12 page book.
Mm-hmm.
That's what children's books are. But it'll be illustrated.
And one thing I could advise any of the horror authors listening to the show is, hey, it helps to write in different genres as well. Maybe horror's not making you paying your bills. I don't know. Write children's books. Write something that actually, gets the attention out there. Hell, I have to write erotic.
Why not write horror books for? Why not write horror books?
Right, for kids. Shit. Good horror books with interesting covers, interesting punchlines. Yeah. Good idea. That is a good idea.
Kids love ghost stories. They love horror.
Oh, see, that's one thing I found. See, I recently started a kids, I guess, like Dead Man's Home Junior, and that's been doing so much better than Dead Man's Home has ever done. It's like, oh shit, should have been marketing towards kids this whole time, but it's hard to do this one though because of whiskey and beer and smoking all this shit. But speaking of smoking, and that's part of your image too. Smoke weed every day. Smoke weed every day.
That is part of the image. It's I don't know if it's legit or not, but it's part of the image.
Oh, I think it's legit. I think it's legit too, by the way.
It's legit. No, but yeah, it's great. I live in Canada, so it's legal. Woo-hoo. And I definitely enjoy it.
That's good. And how often do you smoke?
Well, I used to smoke a lot more, but I made not really a New Year's resolution, but just kind of decided on New Year's Day to not partake, and then I didn't. But yesterday I had one. Last night I had one joint, and tonight I had one just before we started this podcast. So I'd like to say going forward in my life, I'll smoke one every couple of days or one every day, but realistically, I'll probably fall back to 7 a day.
It always
It's just
happens
old
that
habit.
way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I work from home. I'm, you know, it's like it's just easy. Too easy.
Too easy.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's your thing, though. You want it easy. If it's just getting too easy.
It was getting, you know what it was? It was starting to feel like, and it was just the smoking part more than the actual feeling part. But it just felt like I was just doing it out of pure habit. I wasn't getting anything out of it anymore.
Okay. See, I don't know how anyone does that. Like, whenever I smoked weed, I don't know about you guys. Well, in the chat. But whenever I smoke weed, I go from like 0 to 60, like within 5 hits. I mean, I take whenever I would smoke, I'd take like a lot of hits. I'll smoke like 2 joints, 5 joints. And then I'm like staring at the wall. I'm like really feeling the music. I can't function. I'm like, sometimes I would get so high where like I like close my eyes and I could feel my body falling inward. You know what I'm saying? Like I close my eyes and I feel the room spinning and I'm falling inward.
I had that sensation when I took a gummy.
It's like saying I don't drink because when I drink an entire bottle and I shit my pants.
Yeah.
So maybe like I don't know, moderation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I think there's a line somewhere between the amount that you're smoking and the way you're feeling, and a healthy amount for you to explore and build upon.
Okay.
So you just go balls out every time you smoke? Is that it, Jesse?
You know, I can't smoke weed because I smoke 5 joints and I stare at the wall.
Well, the problem is usually it's like when I used to partake. I can't really now because I feel like a massive hypocrite for my job. I kind of work for the state more or less. You know, okay, so I can't hear because it's not legal. You know, but back in the college days, I would quite a bit whenever I get a bag. You know, the whole bag would be gone in a day, and it'd be usually through a glass pipe, and I'm feeling it. You know.
I did get that sensation one time. I took a bong rip, and that was my first time ever. And I just did way too much, and I felt like I was on ecstasy. Like I was like, "What the fuck?" I freaked out. That was the last time I ever smoked weed. So I get it.
The first time I tried it, I didn't even get high. Like I remember smoking it and thinking, "This is it."
Oh,
I thought it was going to do. You'd seen all the say no to drugs crap that they showed you in school, and you're like, oh my god, I'm trying this for the first time, it's going to be life changing, and then I'm like, okay, I don't feel anything. And right. maybe it was because that was in the 80s and weed was really weak back then, but like now I definitely feel it, but it's not, I don't know, I don't think there's a I think there was a point where so I'd try it and then I would go a couple of years without trying it and I'd try it again. There was a point where I tried it and I felt an effect, and then I realized, okay, there is something here. I've just maybe had the wrong strength or whatever it was, and then but then it was understanding, okay, I can't go crazy, because like you in the beginning, when you don't have any tolerance or baseline, mm-hmm. it's going to hit you that much harder, even a small amount.
Yeah, that's what was happening there. Yeah, because
so I could just go straight to Molly. Never mind the gateway drug.
Yes, that's right. What I did.
shit. Fuck
that's
that
life-changing shit right there.
It is, definitely.
No, new year, new you, right? Hell, I quit caffeine and quit coffee. I just go straight to Coke now. I just do a bump of Coke, and that's what gets me going.
10x.
Coke made me angry.
Just joking. Can you imagine? Fuck. Oh fuck, man. Okay. Now
I couldn't do it. I've done it, but I couldn't. It was never for me. It was always. I didn't like the taste.
I wouldn't know. I've never done that. I wouldn't know. But one thing we'll say about you, I do like your image. You have like this Miami Nights sort of image with the shirt and the hair. aviator glasses. I like that. That's cool. That's cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's working for you.
I'm embracing my inner Hunter S. Thompson.
That's what I see, man. I see that. Except, you done shrooms?
Of course.
Oh shit. Okay. So you really are embracing. Okay.
I read Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas when I was like 16 years old. It was one of my favorite books, and I remember I always loved his stuff and his genre and his image, and he always represented a certain level of cool to me that, even long after he's gone, I still see it, and I still think he's super cool dude.
I agree, man. It's pretty cool, and that image is working for you. Not everyone can pull it off, but you're doing it.
No, not everyone can.
No,
definitely not.
No, shit. And someone in the chat, Becky said, I cannot imagine Dead Man on Coke. I couldn't imagine either. Honestly,
come on, do just one line. Just one line. Let's see how you go.
Becky,
he won't do one line. He'll have to do an entire.
Yeah,
he'll
do like the whole fucking
See, that's the thing.
And then he'll go on a killing spree, and then he'll be like, I can't do coke. Last time I killed like 6 people. Balls to the wall.
Yeah, all the way. Okay. No. Shit. Man, do you have a crazy high story, though? I mean, do you have a crazy weed story? Ever got so high where, like, something crazy happened?
No, I don't think I do, actually. I wish it's funny. I wish I mean, no, I don't think I do.
Do you just have, like, this really crazy tolerance?
I do. Yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah.
But it's always been a more chill experience for me. I'm not a, like, go out and ride off the sunroof of the limo kind of a guy. I'm more of a, stay home and watch Netflix kind of a guy.
Okay. That's good. He's on, how fucked up can I get tonight? That sort of thing. Okay.
No, I'm going to leave that with you, Jeff.
Yeah. I mean, all I can say is one time at a hotel, man, I walked like right into a mirror. Fucking shit. There's some times where, what else did happen? Oh, I think one night involved there was a hooker one night. That was not. That was a dildo, and that was okay. I cannot continue that.
Hey, whoa,
that was things happening.
Hookers and dildos. You gotta tell us about this. You can't just go bring up hookers and dildos and say no, never mind.
It was. Well, I mean, it's all weird. And it's also the same night where I was like staring. I was staring at my bathroom wall for like. I was taking piss and just staring. It's like, man. Like.
Forget about the wall. Tell us about the.
What did you do with the dildo, Chucky?
Oh, it went somewhere that I can't talk. Well, what do you think?
Did you put it in your ass?
It was that happened.
Did you like it?
I was high.
Did it feel good? No, honestly though, did you like it?
Well, of course, because it was high. Yeah, of course. I mean, everything feels good when you're high, just about. I mean, shit. I mean,
yeah, that's true. Well, no, try ecstasy and then do that. That's a whole different story. But that's pretty awesome. Justin.
So now I've been exposed. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Yeah. And the whole falling inward thing, and hell, one night I thought it was like writing this epic fantasy. I was like, oh shit, I got this. I got all these ideas. The surge of ideas was coming in. So I was spending hours. It felt like hours the whole rest of the night writing this novel.
With a dildo in your ass?
That was the other night. That night I wasn't doing anything. That night that was happening, and then I was like on the bed, and my face was buried into a pillow. So it was not good. Oh, I mean, it was good, but Yeah.
Were you by yourself?
No. No, I don't get high by myself. That's not good.
So then who put the dildo in your ass?
Yeah, that was my question. Who put the dildo in your ass?
That was one of my exes, who probably is a hooker at this point. I mean.
Was it her idea or your idea?
It was probably my idea. It was my idea. I mean,
there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing.
No, there's nothing. I just wanted to know who presented. How do you present that?
Well, it was
hers.
hers.
Did you just ask her?
It was hers, and it came up. Look, okay, we do some kinky shit when we get high. Okay, don't we all? And stuff came. And she had some toys. Stuff came out, and it was like, okay. Besides, I asked her for anal the other night, got it, and I guess it was paying back. I was like, sure.
What kind of toy was it? What kind of toy was it?
Well, it wasn't like the ones I've seen. It wasn't.
Was it like a giant black?
No. My virgin asshole cannot take that. Oh no. It was a tiny blue one. It's a tiny blue and white one.
Like one of those just straight skinny ones.
Yeah.
Like the kind of one you could carry in a clutch purse.
Well, I don't have a clutch purse, but yeah.
Do you want me to send you pictures and you can tell me which one it was?
Was it a pocket dildo?
Yes, it was my pocket dildo. That's what it was. Shit.
Well, I know what I'm doing tonight.
I'm so glad I'm so glad we know what color it was. That it was blue and white.
Blue and white.
Yeah.
Was it like
it wasn't striped. It was I don't know what you call it.
Was it like someone took two colors of paint and slightly mixed them together?
No, it did a pattern to it. It was like kind of
was it like swirly?
Like plaid.
Was it checks?
Yeah, checks.
Was it plaid?
Yeah, plaid. That's true.
It was checkered.
So you had a checkered blue and white dildo up your ass.
Yes.
I have to be able to picture it, so now I can.
Well,
so was she like? It wasn't like a strap-on type thing. Like
no.
Or was it just like
a
one in and one out?
It didn't last very long because shit. Afterwards, I was like, no. Besides, she was
it gets better after it's initially in. So
yeah.
Oh
yeah. Then you can relax.
Yeah.
Once it's in, you can relax.
Yeah. Well, she was doing some other things too.
Jesse, this doesn't line up with your personality of smoke 5 joints and stare at the wall. I was expecting a giant strap on and just punishing your ass with
you were expecting
she was
that.
Like some dominatrix bitch.
I'm trying to be truthful.
I can't do anal because the last time I did it, I put a 12-inch circumference dildo in my butthole. So I just can't do it now.
Oh, well, now I'm just being honest. So that's what's going on there. Oh shit! But I did stare at the bathroom wall for it felt like an hour, but I think it was just 10 minutes. But it felt intense. The dildo did go up my ass. That did happen. I want
to know what kind of weed you're smoking.
We're grateful that you can talk about it now.
Yeah, I feel like.
Why didn't this come up in our perv thing? This never came up in that.
Because it's that stigma, man. Okay, I'm just now coming out with it. Okay, look, it's happening.
It's totally okay.
Okay, well now I'm embracing it. I'm embracing it.
It's funny because I before you started that story, I had just thought of a story, and then I'm like, well, maybe I'll chime in and tell them I have a story, and then you went down this road, and I don't have a story anywhere close to this story, so I'm good. We got to stay on this one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, good news is we're almost done with the show, guys. So confession time is almost over. No, but
we're gonna make this a 2-parter, and we're staying late.
Oh shit! Maybe that'll be a bonus show for the patrons. Confession time.
I'll be back next week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do confessions. That'd be fun.
That would be fun.
Yeah,
that would be a lot of fun. One thing I want to ask you before we wrap up, Brad. Do you have a favorite horror movie?
Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right. And why? Is it because he's a pedo?
Is he?
I thought he was. Is he? Isn't he? I thought that's why he's burned.
I guess he does come in your dreams.
Wait, what?
He comes in mine.
So maybe.
Maybe.
No. You know what? I don't. I think I got into horror movies when I was that age, and that was kind of it was like that, and Friday the 13th and Halloween. There were all these franchises of horror movies, and that was kind of the one that I latched to. Maybe because I was into heavy metal, and that was kind of the heavy metal horror genre that everybody was kind of into. I don't know why. I just kind of I always liked Freddy Krueger. I just thought he was cool, and I loved his burned face and the trapped souls in his belly and the claws, and I don't know. There's just something about him.
And his pedophile ways.
I identify with him.
I think Tammy likes him too.
I do. That was my very first horror movie at 5 years old.
At 5?
At 5, yeah. That's why I'm so fucked up. But
that's why she's on the show.
Yeah.
Explains a lot.
Yep.
It explains a lot.
Yeah. All right.
Well, man, Brad, it was great having you on the show. I'm trying to keep these things short now, guys, because I know no one makes it past the hour mark. That was a big complaint I heard, and don't worry. But, man, I had a blast talking to you about marketing and marketing advice. It was great, and sharing stories, even though I shared maybe a little too much. But, I'll take you up on the confession time.
No, you shared just enough. It was awesome.
It was amazing.
Thank you, Jesse and Tammy.
Thank you.
Right, Brad.
It was fun.
Right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this, press the like button, share, subscribe, listen to iTunes, leave a review and a nice one. That'd be cool. And y'all take it easy.